Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Johnson. Let me throw a trick question at you and see how you play with it. Don't take it too serious because I'm not trying to teach too much from it. But where do you think we get most of our ideas for the future from? And if I were to help you in regards to giving you the answer, I've helped many of my students giving them the answer sometimes. I would say that we primarily get inspired by either our kids or our dreams. All of us are romantic. All of us like the idea of what we're looking towards, and our dreams we pretty well put together ourselves and then decide where we want to go. Disney and the Disney Corporation, which runs so much of the world, help us with our dreams, come up with some beautiful songs and some beautiful ideas, some beautiful pictures we get to watch. And I remember one night in Chicago, I'd seen most movies. I like going to movies and seeing them. Well, this night in Chicago, I was taking myself to a movie, and there was a 9 marquee movie. You know, there were 9 movies listed that you could go see in this one building, and I'd seen them all except one. I hadn't seen Beauty and the Beast yet, which was new for Disney at that time. A little bit discouraged and anxious to see an action film or some kind of hero film, but since I'd seen everything, I decided, well, I guess I'll just go see Beauty and the Beast. Well, let me tell you, from the time that I sat down till the time that movie was over, cartoon-wise, that's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. And I loved it. I still love it to this day. I've seen it about 5 times. I don't watch too many movies past 4 or 5 times. But Beauty and the Beast was a great inspirational movie. I knew all about the story, and I've seen the TV series and all that kind of thing. But I thought the cartoon that Disney did was terrific, and I haven't seen the movie yet. I imagine that's pretty good too. But by the same token, my point is, putting my expectations aside and letting myself be free to what might come is a good way to make yourself free to the world and experience it, to adventure the world around you, and to have some good time. That's why you were born, to enjoy the world. Jesus said it this way: I have come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly. So, dealing with either our kids, whom we find inspiration from, or our dreams, which kind of guide us in regards to our own future, some of the best places to get that kind of inspiration. Speaking of kids, I was sitting in my office talking with one of my high schoolers that I had been with for many years. I knew him now 6 years, I think, and he was now a junior in high school, about to graduate. And he would come in once a week and sit down in my office. We'd talk for half an hour. Well, it just so happened that I had on one of the shelves in my office a picture of me in a movie studio rehearsal that I'd had a chance to go visit. It was about 10 years old, a 10-year-old picture, and it was a nice little picture, a picture of me behind the truck. The cameraman had said, Keith, get behind the truck, I'm going to take a picture of you. And I did. I followed what he said, and he showed me how he did some tricks with the camera so you don't look as fat as I do. I know I'm fat, I know. But more to love, you know. So anyway, that picture sits on a shelf in my office. So here's my friend, my little junior student, who comes and sees me all the time, and who we laugh with and talk about all kinds of things that's on his mind. And he took a look at this picture and said, Gee, Dr. Johnson, is that your son? What do you mean, is that my son? No, that's not my son. That was me. What was it about that picture that made him think that was my son? Do I look that old? I'm starting to feel a little bit old. I'd be older, but I was sick a year. That's just a joke. But the point is, you either get something out of your kids and work with it and grow with it and ride with it, or you develop your dreams accordingly and work on those. But out of all the dreams I've experienced and all the possibilities of the future, might I ask you one thing out of these dreams that so often are developed from some kind of romantic love that we have? And by the way, if you have romantic love all the time, that's not unusual. Most of us are basically emotional, and we dream about love and who knows what else. So if you're worried about thinking about it too much, you can't. Sometimes it helps you. But here we are thinking about who might love and how you might get inspiration from them. And of course, if you've seen some of my videos, I know I sound to you like I'm rambling, and in a way I am. You know that mostly I will tell you that God is love, and that Jesus emanates that love. And you all know John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Well, the experience of knowing that God loves you is hard until you let it sink in. And that's why the Bible is so important to you and to me. There are so many things that we don't understand about God that, thank goodness, he gave us the Bible to understand his character. Let me give you an example. The Ten Commandments are not written as commandments. We call them commandments. But God didn't call them commandments. They're literally aspects of God's character, and he was showing Moses what he was like and what the world should be like if we follow him. And he was also showing Moses the way we were supposed to live, following God's example. We're supposed to honor our mother and father. We have no other gods before us. We know who our Creator is, and we're supposed to worship him. As God put it, nobody in front of him. He wants no idols, nothing worshipped except him. And well, should be, because he created us. He made us what we are. So every one of the Ten Commandments tells us what God is like. God doesn't lie. He doesn't steal. He doesn't commit murder. All these things that go down the list are commandments that we claim because these are things that we tend to do because you and I are constantly after our own ego and trying to win and trying to get something for free and trying to get what we want on our ego to say that we're fine and we're better. It's Jesus who came to squash that ego and to say, wait a minute, you're not as important as you think. You are important. God stopped the whole world and universe in order to save you. But you and I cannot think of ourselves as important. Pride goeth before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. The understanding is that, and what I'm trying to say, is God loves you. And most romance, most dreams, come from the Spirit of God. God teaches us how to love and how to experience his power in ours. In fact, let me read to you something that God said. Let me get my glasses here. 1 Thessalonians 4:9. But as touching brotherly love, ye need not that I write unto you. For ye yourselves are taught of God to love one another. Our job is to love each other. I don't know how many of you think that we're going to change the world through politics or education or something that we learn to do or social life. None of that's going to work because you and I are evil. We're against God. We're selfish. We're egocentric. Only accepting God's faith and God's will and God's love and using his mercy and thanksgiving to operate our world will God's will be done here on earth as it is in heaven. I'm not talking religiously. This is not just religious talk. This is the personality of God and how He works, and how you and I are supposed to learn to work as well. We're not going to solve the world through education, or through politics, or through trying to be better. We're only going to solve the world through God's forgiveness, first of the things we've done wrong, and then our forgiveness of the things that others have done wrong to us, and learning to love each other and trust each other and care. God relived in Christian Acts the teaching of the believer that will give this world to Jesus and let Jesus run it, because Jesus is pure love, in word and in deed. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. Without Him was not anything made that was made. Jesus, the Word, is life. And in order to understand love, you have to experience God's purpose and love in your heart. First, you have to be forgiven of your own sin. Then, you have to absolutely believe that Christ is taking care of you and will not let you go. And no matter how hard you try, you're never going to be good enough. So let me tell you what love is not. It is not just lust. It is not just the fun aspect. It is not just the searching out in order to somehow steal or get what you want. Love is sacrificial. Is saying, I forgive you, and I want you to experience God's love in your heart because I've experienced. I don't deserve it. God has given me His love. God will give you His love as well. And this love that we talk about is not a touchy-feely kind of thing. This love is in our hearts and in our spirit. Now let me tell you another secret. You don't have to like the person that God says you're supposed to love. We're supposed to love the people around us and the people that are not around us. And sometimes that's pretty hard to do. But you don't have to love them that way. Loving is forgiving, loving is accepting, and loving is guiding and being there available if somebody needs your help. It doesn't mean that you're supposed to necessarily like everybody. You don't have to like. In fact, you can't like everybody. There are too many personalities involved. Too many people I know that I don't want to like. That doesn't make it right. It just means that for me, my personality doesn't go with theirs. And I'm just a different person. And so are you. And so are the people you love. So loving somebody is not how you feel. In fact, how you feel has little to do with it. Because we're all basically emotional. Human beings are basically emotional. Our basic to all our lives is how we feel about things, and that's how we often make decisions. It's not how we feel. It's what we're supposed to do. Love is not just some kind of experience or some kind of feeling. It is a verb that puts into action and says, I will love you. No matter how you feel about a person, if that person is hungry, you feed him. If that person is sinful, you forgive them. If that person needs help, you help them. No matter how you feel. And you don't have to necessarily like them. But loving is different. Loving somebody who needs you, loving somebody who wants to know you and who needs help, that's who you reach out, because Jesus made it very clear. When you reach out to somebody who needs you, you are actually reaching out to Jesus Himself. Did you see Jesus today? Did you find somebody that needs your help? Was it your kid? Your child? Could it have been your husband, your wife? Maybe your pet? Could it have been your friend down the street? You know, some old lady that has nobody, that needs somebody to drop in and give her something like some hard-boiled eggs or fried chicken or who knows what. Does somebody need your help? Love them. Bring God's kingdom down to earth by loving them as they need you.
one step closer to proposing to girlfriend Catherine Schwarzenegger?
Plus, High Extra, here is the first look at season 2 of American Idol.